Sum 41 frontman Deryck Whibley recently released his memoir called Walking Disaster: My Life Through Heaven and Hell. And he talks about the good times and the tough times throughout his career. There's a lot of amazing stories there, a lot of humor there as well. But it's one part in the book where he makes some shocking allegations against his former manager, Greg Norrie, who he met when he was 16 years old. And he talks about the dark side of the music industry. Now, in response to sexual abuse allegations that Deryck Whibley makes against his former manager, that former manager, Greg Norrie, has now denied the allegations and said they're false. And so Whibley has uploaded an emotional statement. He says it's been a very heavy week. This is obviously a very serious matter. And so he's responding, telling Norrie, hey, if I'm a liar and I'm not telling the truth, you should take me to court over this. And so here's a little bit of background on the allegations and that new statement from Whibley released earlier today. In the new memoir, Deryck Whibley accuses his former manager, Greg Norrie, of sexual abuse, an allegation that Norrie denies. Whibley reportedly met Norrie when he was a teenager. He says Norrie, who was the frontman of a band called Treble Charger in Canada, became his manager soon thereafter. But according to Whibley, their relationship would take a troubling turn. There was a significant age gap between Whibley and his manager. Deryck was 18, and Norrie was 36 years old when the abuse allegedly began. In one alleged instance detailed in Whibley's book, when he was 18 years old, he says he was at a rave and he was using drugs with Norrie. When he went into the bathroom, he says his then manager grabbed his face and passionately began kissing him. Whibley says he was surprised. He hadn't thought of Norrie in that way. And he also says he wasn't gay or bisexual. He says the alleged abuse would continue for years. But when he attempted to break things off with Norrie allegedly accused him of being homophobic. Whibley says things would eventually come to an end when a mutual friend said they thought it was abuse. He also says his then manager, Greg Norrie, would insist on having writing credits on numerous Sum 41 songs. The abuse was something that Whibley kept from his bandmates for many years until the book was released. But he did confide in his former wife, music superstar Avril Lavigne, who was outraged. She reportedly told him, "That's abuse. He sexually abused you." Whibley would later tell his current wife the same thing, and she had a similar reaction. Whibley and his ex-wife Avril Lavigne remain friends to this day. It was around the time that Whibley became the age of his former manager when they first met that he began to think about the dynamics in their relationship. Sum 41 would eventually fire Norrie as their manager in 2005, but still, Whibley never told his bandmates about the alleged abuse from Norrie. Now, Deryck uses that one example at that rave where he alleges his former manager forcibly kissed him, and then that started the sexual relationship over the years and the alleged abuse, which again eventually concluded. And so now Greg Norrie, his former manager, has responded to all of this, and here's what he had to say in response to inquiries about these allegations. Norrie denied the allegations against him. He said, "These are false allegations," and claimed he had retained a defamation lawyer. He also spoke to the Toronto Star, and he said in response to the allegations, "The accusation that I initiated the relationship is false. I did not initiate it. Whibley initiated it, aggressively. When the relationship began, Whibley was an adult, as was I." He continued, "The accusation that I pressured Whibley to continue the relationship is false. The accusation that I pressured Whibley to continue the relationship by accusing him of homophobia is false. Ultimately, the relationship simply faded out, consensually. Our business relationship continued." And so what you have here is Norrie acknowledging that he did have a physical relationship with his then client who he was managing. They have this significant age gap, and he says that Whibley, who was then approximately 15 years younger than him at the age of 18, initiated a sexual relationship with him that he is saying is consensual. And that is not the case that Deryck Whibley says, where he's forcibly grabbing him in that room, and then they go from there and things progress. But Whibley is very, very hurt by this, being called a liar, to the extent you heard that Norrie's saying he has retained a defamation lawyer. Whibley's saying, well, if that's the case, let's go to court. He is prepared to speak of this under oath, and he is standing by his story 100%. Here's what Deryck Whibley had to say in response to all of this.
I just want to keep this brief because it's been an extremely heavy week for me. For one, I take no pleasure in coming out with the truth about what happened between me and my ex-manager. But it was something that I just couldn't keep in anymore, and I had to let it out. It's come to my attention that Greg Norrie has now called me a liar. I tell you right now, I stand behind every word that's in my book, 100%. I'm not a liar. And I'm going to speak to you directly, Greg Norrie. If you think I'm a liar, there's only one way to settle this, under oath. In front of a judge, in front of a jury, anytime you want, I'm ready. Whenever you are. To everyone else, I just want to thank you for all the love and the support. My band, my family, thank you all. Of course, the fans. I'll see you again soon. And we'll get through this like we get through everything else.
We'll have to see how that all plays out. Again, Whibley's new memoir, Walking Disaster, My Life Through Heaven and Hell, is out now. Sum 41 is also, they've announced their decision to disband. The band is going to be going their separate ways. But we put out a new documentary on this group right here at Rock Feed where they really tell the whole story. They're going out on good terms. They're going out on their own terms. And, this was filmed before all of this was known. It was shocking to me to hear this and heartbreaking to hear that situation come out in the LA Times last week. And so, you can just tell that Deryck seems very hurt by all of this. And in my dealings with him, he just seems like a great person. And so let me know what you all think down in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe with notifications on for the latest news and updates.